So, you live in Acton, California, or maybe one of the nearby high desert communities. You know that finding a great dog trainer here is about more than just sit and stay. It's really about finding someone who gets our unique lifestyle out here.
The best training is never one size fits all. What a dog needs on a few acres in Acton is totally different from what a dog needs in a downtown apartment. So in this explainer, we're going to walk through how to find that perfect trainer for you and your dog, right here in our environment.
We've got it broken down into 4 main parts. First, we'll talk about why training in the high desert is its own special thing. Then, we'll get into figuring out exactly what your dog needs. After that, we'll cover how to pick a great trainer, and we'll finish up with the practical stuff, cost, and where to practice.
Okay, let's jump right into Section 1, Training for the High Desert. It's all about understanding what makes Acton such a unique place to own and train a dog.
Life out here means your dog is going to see things that a city dog might never encounter. We have these huge open spaces, which are amazing, but it means your dog's recall has to be rock solid for their own safety. And then there's the wildlife, rattlesnakes, coyotes, plus the chance of running into loose livestock or seeing horses on the trails. A trainer who knows this area will know exactly how to prep your dog for all these real-world situations.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. When you get a pro who has local knowledge, the training isn't just an exercise. It's directly useful for your everyday life, whether that's on your own property or out exploring the beautiful trails we have.
All right, on to Section 2. Before you even start looking for a trainer, you first have to get a really clear idea of what you're hoping to achieve. So just take a second to think about this. What are you really trying to solve? Do you have a new puppy and you just want to set them up for success? Or is there a specific problem, like your dog going nuts every time a car comes up your long driveway? Or maybe they pull like crazy on the leash when you're hiking? Knowing your goals is step 1.
Now, training can be done in a bunch of different ways. For us here in Acton, in-home training can be a fantastic option. Having a trainer come to your property to work on issues right where they happen, like barking at the fence line near the horses, is incredibly effective. Group classes are great too, but you'll likely have to drive into a nearby town for those.
And here are some of the big issues trainers can help with. For our life in the high desert, a reliable recall is just non-negotiable for safety. And reactivity, your dog overreacting to wildlife or other dogs on a trail, that's another big one where a professional can make a huge difference in having a calmer, more confident dog.
Okay, this brings us to the real nuts and bolts of it all. How to actually find and vet a good trainer. This section will give you a clear roadmap for picking a qualified pro you can really trust.
First things first, you want to look for a trainer who uses positive reinforcement. Basically, this is a reward-based method that's all about building a strong, trusting bond with your dog. It avoids using fear or pain, which is so important for building that reliable recall you need when you're out and about.
Now, California doesn't actually require trainers to be licensed, which is why checking for certifications is a smart move. It shows a trainer is serious about their education. Things like CPD-TKA or KPA-CTP are good ones to see. And if you're dealing with a more serious issue like aggression, a certification like CBC-CKA is what you'd look for.
So it all boils down to this pretty simple 4-step process. You start by figuring out your dog's needs. Then you look for trainers who use positive methods, you check for those credentials we just talked about, and then you get ready to ask some really direct questions.
And these are the kinds of questions you should be asking. You really want to hear about their experience in rural areas like ours. Do they get the unique distractions and safety concerns we have? And definitely don't forget to ask about travel fees, since a lot of trainers will be coming out from Santa Clarita or Palmdale.
All right, let's move into our final section, which is all about the practical stuff. What training costs around here, and, just as important, where you can go to practice everything you're learning.
So here's a ballpark idea of what you can expect to pay for different training services. These are the current averages for our general area. And remember, for Acton, it's pretty common for professionals to add a travel fee on top of this. Private lessons give you that one-on-one help, while buying a package of lessons can often save you some money in the long run.
And just to zoom in on this, a single private lesson at your house is probably going to be somewhere in that $125 to $225 range. And sure, it's an investment, but the payoff is getting an expert's eyes on your dog, in your home, right where the problems are actually happening.
Okay, so after your sessions, you have to practice. Your own property is, of course, the best place for safe off-leash work.
But to practice your on-leash skills, you can head to places like Acton Agua Dulce Park to work around other people, or the trails at Vasquez Rocks to practice staying calm around other hikers and in new environments.
And that's really the final, most important piece of the whole thing. The training sessions are where you learn the skills, but the real change happens with that day-in, day-out practice. That's how you build a partnership and end up with a reliable, happy dog you can truly enjoy life with.
So, as we wrap this up, I'll just leave you with this to think about. Picture it, having those safer, more relaxed hikes on the trail, feeling calm at home when a package gets delivered, having pleasant run-ins with your neighbors. Putting in the work to find the right training really does create a wonderful partnership with your dog, and it just makes our already great life here in the high desert even better. Good luck with your training journey.